I never thought I'd say this out loud, but the day I walked away from my entire family was the day I finally saved myself. Here's what really happened. I abandoned my entire family. I'm 31, male, from Massachusetts. One day in 2019, I drove away from my parents' house and never spoke to them again. I didn't decide all at once to do it. Didn't have a big blowout or major event. Just didn't end up speaking for a long time, which was normal. And one day I decided, you know what? I'm never speaking to them ever again. So I changed my phone number. And now they don't even know where I live. Before you judge me, hear me out. My father literally never spoke to me, which was even worse than if he'd walked out when I was a kid. People have a hard time grasping this situation because you'd have to be completely insane to live this way. And the more distance I have from the situation, the more I realize how now okay it was. When I was a kid and until I was about 12, he worked the night shift, so he was at our house, but always asleep. It was strange. He was there but not there. The times when we were around at the same time, he would ignore me. I don't have a single fond memory, a single time we did anything together, even a single heartfelt conversation, or an I love you, ever. One day he got a better job, started working during the day, but still he would avoid me, never making eye contact, never talking to me, except random times when he'd have outbursts and yells at me. The man is severely depressed, I know that, but he also has resented me for merely existing, and he grew to resent me even more when he realized that I didn't like him. Why would I? I never gave him a hard time, never bothered him, but I didn't go out of my way to engage with him, and he never made a single effort to even speak to me. It's a very, very strange environment to cohabit a home this way. My mother, on the other hand, comes from a long line of abuse. I learned later in life that she was sexually abused by her father, my grandfather, who died in jail because he was caught molesting my cousin. I've heard horror stories of how he terrorized my grandmother. Very sadistic abuse. So my mother is mentally ill. Developmentally, she is a child. So she works with preschoolers at a church. The only environment where no one would notice how insane she is. She must have been triggered when I was a kid by me being the age she was abused, because all I remember is her being an abusive, cold, tyrannical loose cannon. I remember being yelled at for no reason, always confused. I didn't receive nurturing or care at all. Ever. She used to yell, "You are a child." If I got upset as a way of saying, "You're a child. Your feelings don't matter." I'm not trying to paint myself in a bias here. I can tell you genuinely, I was very well behaved. I was quiet, compliant. Never gave her a hard time. I was very deeply sad all the time from a very young age. I remember crying myself to sleep every night, and also being so scared because my mother was also a religious fanatic who believed demons were everywhere, even in my mind. So that really did a number on me. She would gaslight me and my sister into blaming ourselves for our lack of relationship with our father, who never took the slightest interest in us. She tried to make us think nothing was unusual. It took me a very, very long time to realize that none of this was ever okay. I've dreamed ever since I was a kid of getting away and never speaking to them again. My dream was to make enough money to help my sister. She is now 32 and has never held a job. She's taken it all much worse than me. I've been trying to survive for myself, and she doesn't know it, but also for her. I could go on and on here, but the point is, I'm exhausted. I've never experienced the kind of love that I see people have with their families. In many ways, haven't really experienced love, but I am a very loving person. I am absolutely committed and dedicated to the people I do have, my friends, and anyone who I let get close to me. This pandemic has been insanely crazy and hard for me. I was living in Boston working as a freelance designer, finally doing okay. But then I had to leave suddenly because the pandemic hit, and all my roommates moved out at once. I had already not spoken to my family in a year. The last experience I had had with my dad was very clear he resented me, and the thought of my mother and her vampiric, mentally ill-twisted presence makes me feel nauseous. I couldn't go back there. I had no job and nowhere to go. So I took what I could fit in my car and drove south to Florida, hoping to survive. I bounced around the country for a while, sleeping in my car, working any remote design gig I could get. And now, in 2022, I finally made it to Los Angeles to take one last stab at a good life, to try to make it with my music or get an okay job, even though it's an apocalypse out here and it's been chaos since I got here, lol. I've gone through this entire pandemic with the constant fear of running out of money and having nowhere to go, without any real support or the love that people rely on from their families to get them through these times. It's taking its toll on me, and I am just so exhausted. I feel as though I'm starved of love. I've come very close to suicide many times. This isn't a cry for help, I'm just saying. But I am holding on, and I'm still trying. Sometimes I think about what I would say if I did have an official conversation with my parents. But it's nothing but anger and hateful words, and I don't think there's any point. I want to get over it, to bury it in the past. They don't know where I live. I have a new phone number. Not that they'd be trying to call me anyway. I want it to be over. But every time I see a friend interact with their mom or dad, I want to cry. Every time some new thing goes wrong, like I totaled my car the other day, I have to lay alone in my bed wondering how I'm going to make it, just wishing someone would give me a hug. I fantasize about that, just getting a hug from someone supportive. I'm not going to speak to them ever again, or any of my extended family, who are also all toxic. Only my sister, who I've dearly, but unfortunately we are not very close because no one in my family knew how. But at least it's something. We see each other once every year or so. So yeah, feels good to get that off my chest. My friends out here really can't grasp the pain I am in because they have no basis in their lives for understanding it. So I have to do my best to keep it together and not bring them down. But I prefer to be alone because I don't always have the strength to pretend or smile through the pain. What I do have, I guess, is freedom. I have nothing to lose. Hopefully I'll find a job and not end up homeless. Or maybe I'll find enlightenment by realizing that no one truly possesses anything or knows anyone. I don't know. I just want a hug. Edit. People are thinking I moved out at 28. I moved out right after college. We were still in contact, but there were long periods of silence. One random day in 2019 just happened to be the last time I ever saw them. Thanks for watching. If you've ever had to make a hard choice for your own peace, you're not alone. See you in the next video.